And victims confront Darrell Brooks in court today. Brooks has been found guilty of driving through the Waukesha Christmas parade, killing 6 people and injuring dozens more. 36 victims or their family members either spoke at today's sentencing or had a statement read on their behalf. Brooks listed 9 people who will speak on his behalf. Those people have not yet made their statements. His sentence is scheduled to be handed down tomorrow afternoon. And joining us now to talk more about today's sentencing hearing is attorney Julius Kim from the law group Kim and Lavoie. Thank you so much for being with us again today. Let's get right to this. Let's get specifically to what we saw from Brooks in court a little bit later. But let's start with the victim's statement. They were so powerful. Many in the courtroom, almost all, moved to tears. Is that to underscore the pain that they feel to Judge Darrow, or is there any legal weight, so to speak, in those statements?
Well, I think that it's kind of both. I think that the victims were taking advantage of the opportunity to tell the judge what they think that Darrell Brooks deserves in terms of a sentence. But I think that it also was to send a message not only to Judge Darrell, but to Darrell Brooks. This was their opportunity to let Mr. Brooks know how this whole situation impacted their lives and how much they missed their loved ones. It was very, very powerful in court today. I listened to some very eloquent statements by these victims and the victims' families, and whether Mr. Brooks took it to heart or not, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, got an email today from a mother who was there, and it was so frightened because her children were missing for some time, and I think for them it's just this sense of closure. How much wiggle room does Judge Darrow have in sentencing here?
Well, even one first-degree intentional homicide sentence carries with it a mandatory sentence of life in prison. So really the question is whether she's going to make him eligible for parole after a certain period of time. It has to be at least after 20 years, and whether she's going to run these sentences consecutive to each other, which means one after another. And a lot of it, quite honestly, at this point is kind of symbolic. It's trying to validate each of these counts, each of these victims. I wouldn't be surprised if she went ahead and gave him the max on all the counts and ran these counts consecutive to each other with no chance for parole. And
is that because of, in part, the antics that we saw today? I mean, we kind of know where this is going, but let's be honest. After what we saw today and what Judge Darrow saw today, if she had any glimmer or maybe a speck of, some parole, do you think that went out the door with his antics?
Yeah, I do, in all honesty. Everyone knew that, including Darrell Brooks, knew that he had an uphill battle to climb. But rolling your eyes and, slow clapping when victims are making statements, that's not going to help him. And certainly it didn't look good when the judge and the prosecutor were crying also in court. That's never a good sign if you're a defendant that things are going to go your way at sentencing. So I'm not sure if Darrell Brooks at this point just thinks that he's got nothing to lose or whether he just can't help himself. I mean, I think sometimes we ask of Darrell Brooks of things that he might just not be able to do because he might be a psychopath for all we know. And if he is, then I think that we have to adjust our thinking in terms of why he's doing what he's doing. And I think that Judge Darrow is going to throw the book at him at this point and that he hasn't helped himself as usual.
Julius Kim, thank you for your insight. We always appreciate it. We look forward to it. Thank you.